tough slow growth in Europe. I think the US are more optimistic about our part of the world, the countries particularly throughout North Asia, Africa, and the Middle East will be growing strongly. So it's really about thinking about the geographic segments and those geographies, which particular market segments you're going after, and finding the areas of profitable growth.
8 letters, 2 words, 1 clear objective. I'm pretty sure most of you have heard of the phrase, go global. But do you know exactly why companies and businesses are aiming to do so? My name is Amanda, and this is my team, Shu'i, Cindy, Regina, Nicholas, and Andrew. Today, we will be sharing why going global is the best option to improve Thailand's economy. So what exactly is going global? In terms of economy, going global is to connect with people all over the world, mainly through trade and import of goods. Pretty much any product has the potential to go global, from your own smartphone to your favorite fast food chain. An example will be the products from the Royal Project Foundation, which are grown and harvested right here in Thailand and are shipped and sold in stores overseas. This is what we will be going through our presentation today. Now, Shu'i will be talking about the local labour market.
My name is Shu'i and I'll be talking about the local labour market of Thailand. Okay, so let's start first by looking at Thailand's current economic situation. Next slide, please. Oh, next slide. Yes, okay, so the current economic growth in Thailand has been predicted to slow down from 2.5% to 5% this year. And also, Thailand has like the lowest unemployment rate out of like a lot of countries, having been less than 1%. So you guys might be wondering and thinking, oh, that sounds good because the economy seems very like prosperous since more people are being employed. But then the thing is, because most of the jobs here are more agricultural based, and like 50% of the population are being employed in that area, and a lot of people are self-employed. So since all the jobs are like lower tier and they don't provide as much like income, it doesn't contribute much to the economy. And also there's a shortage of skilled labor, whereby workers do not possess high skills needed to like gain high qualification and high paying jobs needed to generate revenue and also expertise in the country. Okay, so next. So this slide is just to reinforce like a few things that I said before, whereby there's very low unemployment rate of just less than 1%, yes, and also the disparity between the amount of skilled and unskilled workers. This might be so because majority of the jobs provided in Thailand don't really require much skills, so the locals might not see the need for value adding and going to take up more skills. So next slide. Okay, so next we'll look into the main contributors of Thailand's economy. Based on research, I found out that agriculture is the main backbone of the economy in Thailand, whereby it employs up to 50% of the population. However, the funny thing is that only 10% is being contributed to the GDP, and manufacturing and services are also main contributors to the economy. Okay, then the next slide, we'll be showing you a few examples of the jobs provided to locals in the main sectors that I just talked about. So as you can see, in agricultural, there's farming, and then in the services sector, there's like massage and street vendors, and also in that's service, and then manufacturing, there is the production of your goods such as the handicraft. I think a few of you have seen it in the night markets here and there. Yeah, so next. And I'm sorry. So previously, just now, as you can see, all the jobs are more labor intensive and more lower tier jobs. So it's the main, if you think about it, if the main contributors to the economy are only consisting of like jobs that are low wage, so it causes us to wonder if thinking locally is sufficient to sustain economic growth. So now we're talking about the benefits and challenges of thinking locally. So the benefits is that we'll be able to preserve local culture and ensure the uniqueness of Thailand, which is good because it brings about a national identity to the country and also makes the country very attractive in the sector of tourism. And it makes like tourists want to come over and find out more about Thailand. However, there are also challenges by just thinking locally. And the following are lack of incentives, lack of learning opportunities, lack of variety of quality opportunities, and lack of capital. I'll be talking about a few since it's pretty long. So I'll be first elaborating on the lack of incentives. Can you imagine, for example, there are a lot of street vendors in Thailand, right? And then a lot of them do the same thing, they sell the same thing, and also they're very used to their way of life, and they just take their day as it is, day by day, and there's very little motivation to want to venture into bigger businesses and do better. And it can be detrimental for Thailand because it lessens the business opportunities here. And there's also lack of learning opportunities, as the locals might think that there's no need for higher education since they are able to do what they need to do here. And also when they are just focused on local, they don't get the opportunity to learn from foreign expertise and hopefully just improve themselves based on it. And there's a lack of variety of quality job opportunities, as in because they have very limited skill sets. And so they are only able to look for more labor-intensive jobs that perhaps do not pay well and do not help the economy that much. And also lack of capital, so there's lack of opportunities to grow businesses here. And also there's lack of better social benefits such as health insurance to ensure the welfare of the workers here. So next I'll let Regina talk about the global labor market.
Okay, good morning everyone. So first I'll be introducing to you the global labor market 3 decades ago. So in the past, the working world was only made up of 1.7 billion people, with more than half earning their salary being a farmer. But today, the global labor market is actually made up of 2.9 billion workers, with emerging of 900 million non-farming jobs, which can actually show you like how far we have gone from agriculture, etc. The entire world have gone. Okay, the change. Simply saying that today's labor market is a great change from 3 decades ago is an understatement. The change is huge and drastic. Today, as developing economy industrialize and begin to compete in world markets, a global labor market have started to emerge. As more than 1 billion people enter the labor force, a massive movement from farm to factory sharply accelerate growth of productivity and per capita GDP. This have created a competitiveness in the global labor market. And developed economies have started to invest in sophisticated and state-of-the-art equipment which requires people with skills to operate. As you can see, in the past there was actually more of like primary jobs such as like farming, and today we have the secondary jobs such as manufacturing, tertiary jobs such as nursing, and quaternary jobs such as research and development. However, as the need of people being highly skilled increase, there's actually a very obvious problem emerging in the global labor market, which is that the supply of high-skilled workers is not meeting the demand. And this, I believe, is because of the skill mismatch. Skill mismatch is saying that the skills possessed by the individual is not meeting the skills which is required by the company, the job position that you are applying for. In Thailand's general education is focused on, Thailand's school and university is focused on general education and lacking in vocational training, which is what the industry actually needs. In Thailand, only 20% of schools are made up of vocational training, whereas in Malaysia it's 50% and in Vietnam it's 45%, I believe. And this skill mismatch actually causes Thailand to lose out to the rest of the world. And in order to go global, we actually need to tackle the skill mismatch problem of the global labor market in order to in order to increase Thailand's competitiveness in the global world. And this can be achieved by two methods, which is improving the English ability of Thailand people and letting the staff go through hospitality courses. English is the bridge to the rest of the world, and increasing English ability of the people, making it compulsory, will cope up with the adjustment lag in the education system. As of right now, the policies maker have to implement English as a compulsory subject for Thailand people to learn and to incorporate hospitality skills to them so that we can make use of Thailand being a tourism attraction and having the capability to meet up with this demand. Now I will pass the mic to Cindy to conclude our parts.
So in conclusion, 83.5% of the workforce in Thailand is unskilled due to the lack of competitiveness when they think locally. By thinking locally, they will not find a need in education, and they do not feel that there's a need to actually improve themselves and be much better. Yeah. And by thinking globally, are they then able to actually meet the demands of the society? Which means that by thinking globally, they will find an importance in education. So with the importance of education, they are more likely to learn skills like technology, which is very essential in our lives now. They can actually learn to actually like set up businesses and reach out to their audience through social media. Yeah. And also, English is actually a very important language. So it's actually an international business language in like globally. So by being able to speak English is actually very important. And I feel that because like in Thailand, right, most people, they don't really know how to speak English, or they might not be able to understand what we are trying to say. So there might be a communication like barrier. So I think maybe in the future generations, they could actually learn to speak English so that it will be much easier for us to communicate with each other. And then with that, by thinking globally, Thailand only the GDP will increase and Thailand's economy will be much better. So now Andrew will be talking to you about the multinational corporations.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about the multinational corporation, which also stands for MNC for short. So what is a MNC? An MNC is a company that has various and multiple assets and facilities around the world globally. And what is their aim? Their aim is actually to maximize profit for the country, for the company, and actually to provide their goods to the locals. An example of a few MNC will be Adidas, a company that sells shoes, Wendy's, a fast food restaurant, and Samsung, a handphone retailer shop company. Now, I'm going to talk to you about the trade-off for the multinational corporation in a country. I'm going to talk about the positive trade-off first. And number one is to improve the economy. So how does it improve the economy? When an MNC comes to a country, it actually increases the vacancy of jobs available for the country by actually setting up factories, headquarters. So when this happens, it actually reduces the unemployment rate in the country. And ultimately, it actually increases the GDP of the country because the locals have more money, more spendings to actually use. And this improves their standard of living. Number two, better technology. When MNC comes to a country, it will bring technology with them. For example, it could bring machineries for them to manufacture and produce goods. It could bring commercial products, TV, buildings, for them to actually advertise the products. And there are two pictures here. Okay, and the first photo is Thailand back 30 years ago. And if you can see, there's not much technologies, not much buildings around around the country. And 30 years later is a photo of Bangkok, and there's a lot of tall buildings, TVs, malls, and 7-Elevens, even. Now I'm going to talk about the negative trade-off. Firstly, MNC will actually compete with the local restaurant, the local industry for natural resources. Let me give you an example. So I read an article last week which says that McDonald's in France is actually using beef to actually mix the burger. And so it actually compete, like the article states that it actually competes with the local restaurants because there is limited amount of beef in the country, and when McDonald's orders, let's say McDonald's orders 100 kg of beef, and the local restaurant orders 50 kg, the priority will be given to McDonald's because it actually produces more revenue for the local farmers. Which actually leads on to my next point. It kills the domestic industry. So I'll give you an example. Adidas is a shoe company. So when you go to Adidas, you just have to select a design, choose a design, and select a size. And boom, there you have a shoe. However, if you talk about the more traditional method, going to a cobbler shop to actually purchase a shoe, they have to choose a size, measure your size, they have to choose a design for you, and it takes around 2 to 3 weeks for them to get the shoe ready. Okay, now I'm going to talk about a local company that actually wants to move on to a multinational corporation standard, but is trying to do so. So this is Tokonoi. It's a local company that actually produces dried seaweed to the locals. What is so different from this from a local company is that actually it does import the goods globally, but it doesn't have headquarters or factories around the globe, so it doesn't comply to the multinational corporation standard. Next, I'm going to talk about a very special and successful MNC that actually makes it out successful. Okay, so Apple had this wonderful idea that is to actually cooperate iPhone and a computer to produce something very special, very unique, and it's different from what the world is producing. So they came up with an idea, and it's called the iPad. So what is so special about the iPad is actually about the position of a product in the mass market, the global market. And actually, why is it like it's such a worldwide phenomenon is because there is mass appeal for the consumers around the world. Next, I'm going to let Nicholas talk about the small and medium enterprise.
Okay, so the SME, right? Mainly in Thailand, right? There's like 4 main categories for SMEs, whereby services, manufacturing, wholesale, and retail. So like today I'm specifically going to go into service, whereby, so SMEs, like basically, right, what are the challenges that they face, or how to ensure that SMEs can sustain in the long run will be looking out for opportunities. Like you have to look out for common trends, whereby, for instance, cafes. Like, how many of you here have been to cafes? Yeah, quite a lot, right? So at least one of you, right, will, at least each of you will go to cafe once. So right, basically looking out for opportunities. Then, can I use the mic now? Okay, then look out for opportunities, right? In a way, there are some cafes, right? Most of the cafes are identical. So what makes like other cafes outshine each other will be like Cat Cafe, for example, whereby they combine the service of allowing customers to interact with their pets, and as well as having their food, lunch. So next, sales and marketing effort. It is very important for to market out your business, because if you want your business to reach out to the customers, you need to get them hooked. So in a way, like maybe using social media, Facebook, for example, you can get them to come over. So next, last but not least, the most important is capital. For instance, as I've interacted with like those business owners for cafe, like during my trip here, like one of them mentioned that it is easy to have business ideas. Like you can think of many business ideas, but capital, like they do not have ready capital to do the business. So for instance, right, they have this corporation, it's an organization, Trade Off Thailand, whereby it's a community whereby they encourages entrepreneurs to start a business. But the chances of them getting funded will be that in this competition, only the very top, right, can get funded. That means the business idea will be funded by the organization. So with that, right, like not many business idea can get approval, like unless you have the capital. Okay, let me just talk about D-Cup ice cream, whereby it's like near the Chiang Mai complex. I think many of you have been to there, right? There. So one thing to staying unique, it's like they have like variety of flavors, right? Like wasabi, whereby like you don't find it in any other ice cream shop. Like in a way that they offer flavors like to attract you and to try it. So on top of that, right, their latest product is this, whereby it's a stick, but this part here actually is chocolate. So they replace the stick with chocolate ice cream, yeah, in a sense, and as well as this. So the vapor at the side, right, is just dry ice with water. So it makes it like very appealing, and it's just like you don't commonly see an ice cream shop selling this kind of like item menu on the menu. Okay, so for next, right, sales and marketing effort, like for example, here's a Facebook page whereby it is very responsive to messages in a way that to gather customers' feedback and as well as to market their product here. So with good marketing and as well as like unique items and all, right, these two are the main driver to attract customers over. So okay, so right, I talk about the capital, right. In a way, it's not the end. Like if you do not have capital, there are loans available like SME banks, whereby the interest rate is lower as compared to normal banks, and it is government funded. So what is it about? SME banks is offering the rate 9.5% per annum, and normal banks are offering like 12%, which is quite a big difference. And with that difference, like you can imagine if you are like an entrepreneur, you want to start a business, and then like with this few percent, right, you can save on other operating costs, which is a really good thing. So okay, last but not least, fun fact: foreigners are not allowed to own 100% of the business in like the business shares in Thailand. However, they can start a business under a Thai individual. So let me just leave you guys a question: like, would you like allow a foreigner to like control you like Thai locals, or will you just start on your own? Next, I'll pass on to Cindy. Okay.
Okay, so now I'll do a conclusion on the cooperation. So Thai business laws are actually made to actually protect the welfare of the Thai people, and also so that the foreigners will not take control of the local market. And then, like as what Nick has mentioned earlier, they have the SMEs, which is government funded. So, like there will be help received from the government when they set up SMEs. And also, SME is actually the stepping stone towards MNCs, which is a multinational corporation. So, with that, I'll pass the time over to Amanda.
Just think about it. If Thailand is able to go global, not only will its economy improve immensely, but the Thailand citizens will also have a national identity and a sense of pride because their very own products are sold and recognized all over the world. This is why we have to think and plan on an international scale. Globalization is inevitable. It can't be avoided. So if you choose to go against it and work within your own country, you're only going to fight a losing battle. To end off, I would like to ask you a simple question. Will you prefer to stay within the comfort zone of your own community? Or are you willing to venture out into the world and get an economic breakthrough which will give you various benefits and rewards? Thank you.